Whether it's feeling like walking on an invisible rock on the ball of your foot, or stinging or constant soreness at the ball of your foot, there's a name for that. It's called metatarsalgia. And in this video, I'm going to explain the 3 main causes of metatarsalgia and what you can do about it next. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Gaffney, saving you time and money in your foot health decisions. And if the ball of your foot is making your work days miserable and limiting your workouts, and you can't even go grocery shopping without the ball of your foot hurting, you are not alone. It affects thousands of people. So many people try over-the-counter insoles to no avail, and they don't know what they're treating or the root cause of it. And I'm going to explain all that for you today. So the ball of the foot pain, we call that metatarsalgia, which really means metatarsal pain. And the ball of the foot is made up of the metatarsal phalangeal joints, and the metatarsal heads really are those bony bumps that you feel at the ball of your foot. If you push real hard, you can feel a little lump. That's the metatarsal head. And so they get a lot of pressure. 2 to 3 times your body weight goes through that area when you're pushing off in gait. So it's no wonder that the ball of the foot and the metatarsal phalangeal joints and the metatarsal heads are so susceptible to chronic repetitive stress causing injury and pain. And there's a lot of little structures in there, so you can get bursitis and joint inflammation. We call that synovitis, and also neuritis. So there's 3 main causes of metatarsalgia or ball of the foot pain. The first big cause of metatarsalgia is structural or biomechanical problems. In fact, in one review article in Science Direct, they cite that biomechanical and structural causes are 90% of metatarsalgia. So this involves people with high arches, or what we call pes cavus, or people with tight muscles in their calf, the gastrosoleal muscles, or tight calf muscles. And what that does is it kind of makes the Achilles tendon real tight, so it pushes the foot against the ground and you don't have enough upward motion at your ankle to have normal foot function. And there's a lot of pressure at the ball of the foot because the Achilles tendon is really tight and pushing your foot against the ground. So with a tight Achilles or Equinus, you can get a lot of inflammation or overload at the ball of the foot, and you can get bursitis, and you get that diffuse burning feeling at the ball of the foot. And one solution to that is simply doing Achilles tendon stretches. And there's many ways to do that. There was a systematic review showing that doing 15 minutes of Achilles tendon stretches a day in a month will give you 2 more degrees of upward motion. And that, I think that's a lot, and would probably eliminate a lot of that downward force on the ball of the foot. Let me show you how to do a few Achilles tendon stretches and how to do them right.
So what you do, you get a belt, and you can loop it around the ball of your foot like this. You can also use a towel, and you pull back on the ball of your foot and with your knees straight, and you want to try to work up to bending your ankle past 90 degrees like this. If it hurts to go that far, just hold it here where it's not hurting. And you want to hold it maybe about 10 to 20 seconds and do like 3 sets of 10, and do that at least twice a day.
You can also get an Achilles night splint or a plantar fascia night splint. I'm going to link to that in the description too. It's just a splint that you sleep in at night. It holds your foot at 90 degrees, and that'll help stretch out the Achilles over time too and limit that downward force on the ball of your foot. Another thing somebody could do if you have a high arch foot or Equinus or that tight Achilles tendon forcing your ball of the foot against the ground and causing pain is to switch out the shoes to a more rigid rocker sole type with a little bit of an upturn at the end, so the shoe's taking up the motion of push off, so you don't get as much pressure at the ball of your foot. If you have a high arch foot, you could probably do pretty well with like a shock absorbing type of shoe or sneaker. People with ball of the foot pain should look for a 0 drop shoe with lots of room in the toe box, like an Ultra. 0 drop just means the heel of the shoe is equal to the forefoot. Most shoes have a higher heel, so they're kind of tilting the foot downward, and you're getting a lot of pressure at the ball of the foot with that type of shoe. Of course, high heels will make this so much worse. You need to look for a shoe, like I said, with a zero drop heel, and or like a negative heel, like an earth shoe would work really well. Another thing that helps out well is a custom orthotic with a metatarsal pad to offload the ball of the foot. So very rarely in this instance, sometimes we do like an Achilles tendon lengthening if all else fails and you're hurting a lot, or gastric recession. So with poor biomechanics, you can get hammer toe deformities, and hammer toes can contribute to ball of the foot pain. So what happens is the toes ride up on top of the metatarsal heads and force them into the ground, causing pain. This can put a lot of strain on a structure called the plantar plate, and the plantar plate kind of holds all the structures steady and sturdy and keeps the toe nice and straight. And with the hammer toe pulling on that area, because the plantar plate's on the bottom at the ball of the foot, and with the hammer toe lifting up in the air, it stretches that structure, and then over time it kind of loosens up and allows the toe to elevate and sometimes overlap the second toe or the third toe or whatever toes adjacent to it. And this is real common with bunion deformities and the second toe overlapping the big toe and causing a lot of pain at the ball of the foot at the same time. The first metatarsal and the big toe joint are not nice and sturdy. They're kind of like wacky and hypermobile, we call it. So the first metatarsal is moved over, and when you push off and gait, all of your weight's supposed to go through that big toe joint last. And so if it's not nice and sturdy and ready to take that motion of push off, it kind of dumps over into the lesser toes, the smaller bones, and they're not designed to handle that. And you can get all kinds of bursitis, joint inflammation, nerve inflammation from that. And it's not uncommon with all that pressure for the skin to react and make a callus. And those little suckers are so painful. So a lot of patients come in for that, to have debridement, to have them removed, but they will come back as long as you're walking, because those bones are still like causing pressure. And as long as the bony deformity is there, that callus comes back. I have several adhesive pads and other types of pads in my online store that help to offload those areas. If you're interested, check that out at drgaffneybestfoot.com. Another way that anatomy or abnormal foot structure causes ball of the foot pain or metatarsalgia is if the metatarsal heads are not aligned properly, if one is too long or dropped. Can cause a lot of pressure underneath that individual metatarsal head. And in that instance, it's more common to get a callus underneath that individual metatarsal head area. Now, if you have metatarsalgia associated with claw toes of toes 2 through 5, so the toes look like a claw, and you can take your thumb and push up against the ball of the foot and all your toes kind of straighten out, that type of foot deformity and metatarsalgia respond great to like a custom orthotic with a metatarsal pad. The metatarsal pad will push up against the ball of the foot and straighten out the claw toes. And that works relatively instantly once you get a orthotic with a metatarsal pad. So please see your podiatrist for help with these complicated forefoot deformities. They'll do a biomechanical exam, they'll do x-rays, they'll do a very detailed analysis of the problem and give you all kinds of options. If you have a callus, the podiatrist will debride it, shave it off, but like we just talked about, you still have that bony deformity underneath it, so it tends to come back. So how we help with that is we get people into orthotics with padding to offload it. So if you need some of that padding, just check out the products at my online store. I have adhesive, callus protectors, and the metatarsal pads. And please check out my episode on how to properly place a metatarsal pad, because if you get it in the wrong spot, it's going to hurt more. But if you get it in the right spot, it really does wonders for offloading the ball of the foot. So the link will be in the description for the different types of pads if you're interested in that. Surgery is last resort, and usually it revolves around like fixing the hammer toes and removing that retrograde force on the metatarsals, forcing them into the ground. So individual surgeries on single metatarsals usually are not done because it's hard to dial in the exact position of the metatarsals, because if if they're out of alignment at all when you fix it, then the pressure and the pain goes to the adjacent metatarsal and you get the same problems, but in a different area in the ball of the foot. Whatever you do, do not let a doctor remove a single metatarsal head. If that will wreak havoc in the forefoot, and you'll get pressure and problems on the rest of the ball of the foot. So we never remove just a single metatarsal head. We were taught in school, if you remove one metatarsal head, you remove them all. And I've had so many patients that have come in after they've had surgery decades ago where the doctor removed metatarsal heads, and we have so much trouble trying to get them comfortable. So please remember that, and don't let anybody remove your metatarsal head. Finally, in older patients, they tend to have what we call fat pad atrophy at the ball of the foot. So you got a thick fat pad on the bottom of your foot to cushion the bones when you're walking and act as a shock absorber. And that thins out in time, and then those bones get real prominent. And basically, you do walk on the bones. So we try to get some very cushiony insoles underneath there and offloading to help these patients. They do have injectables that you can inject underneath there to kind of take the place of the fat pad, but it's considered experimental and therefore insurance doesn't cover it. The second cause of metatarsalgia is neurological causes. So this is neuromas, tarsal tunnel syndrome, peripheral neuropathy. The big one is a neuroma, specifically the Morton's neuroma, and I did a comprehensive guide to Morton's neuroma and the treatments, so please check out my episode on that. But orthotics, metatarsal padding also helps great with that, but check out my episode on that. I go through all the treatments. Now, tarsal tunnel syndrome is like carpal tunnel syndrome in your wrist, but it's in the ankle. The nerve gets pinched off behind the ankle, and a lot of times it'll send referred pain to the ball of the foot, and patients come in and tell me, oh, I've got a neuroma in every single interspace, and come to find out it's the tarsal tunnel syndrome. So that can cause ball of the foot pain. Also, peripheral neuropathy can cause ball of the foot pain, and even like referred back pathology I've seen cause ball of the foot pain. So it can get kind of tricky, and you need your doctor to investigate all these causes. The last cause of metatarsalgia is arthritis. So rheumatoid, psoriatic arthritis, wear and tear arthritis, post-traumatic arthritis, even gout can cause ball of the foot pain. So the psoriatic and rheumatoid arthritis is called autoimmune type of arthritis, and that's when your immune system attacks your joints. Rheumatoid arthritis especially affects the forefoot. It first starts out as diffuse inflammation. So if you got a lot of puffiness and swelling and stiffness, it's a possibility. You have to work with your doctor to get diagnosis. Sometimes it's kind of a tricky diagnosis. In time, it turns into a crippling arthritis with the deformities, but we see that less and less nowadays because of those IV injectables like Humira. It kind of limits the crippling arthritis, which is fantastic. Psoriatic arthritis will cause diffuse inflammation as well, but it's more individual toes. Like you can get what's called a sausage toe from that, but they do cause soreness, stiffness, and aching at the ball of your foot. Wear and tear arthritis can do the same, as well as post-traumatic arthritis. If you ever had like your metatarsals broken or your toe broken, you can get arthritis in the toe joints. Gout can also do it as well. So treatment involves, again, orthotics, offloading, special shoes, and especially working with your rheumatologist for the systemic care. Last resort is doing some type of surgery, but many patients can't undergo that. So we use a lot of orthotics, and I like a shoe called a Pedor shoe. It's a very stretchy upper. It's great for forefoot deformities. And used to only be able to get it from an orthotist, but now they have an online store so the public can get it, and they have a great return policy. I have not seen any other shoe comparable to the Pedors that will accommodate the severe deformities in the forefoot, so check them out. I'll have a link in the description for that for you as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you've struggled with ball of the foot pain, let me know in the comments what's worked for you, what hasn't worked. And please like and subscribe if I've helped you at all today. And here's your best foot forward. We'll see you again next time. Please see the full disclaimer in the description. This is not a doctor-patient relationship. This does not constitute medical advice, but is for informational purposes only.